struggling and persecuted Christians in the Middle East, the deal today?
Well, I think it's going to. I think it's a big start. And you're right about that. Christians have been persecuted by some countries in particular in the Middle East. And I think this is a big start. It's going to be a very strong start, very powerful start. And it's something that I will tell you, I've told David and I've told every one of our negotiators, if you look at the way Christians have been treated in some countries, it's beyond disgraceful. It's if I had information and if I had absolute proof, some of the stories that we've heard, which is not easy to get, I would go in and do a number to those countries like you wouldn't believe what they do to Christians in the Middle East, and it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. You're right. It's a very big part of the overall negotiation. And as countries come in, for instance, UAE has agreed very strongly to represent us. I think they will very well with respect to Christianity, because in the Middle East it's not treated well. It's not treated well at all. It's treated horribly and very unfairly, and it's criminal what's happened. And that's for many, many years. I think it's a great question and it's a very unfair situation.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we are going to take a look at the latest major developments as President Trump has brokered a massive peace deal in the Middle East. We're going to talk about what's coming up next, what the fake news is lying about, and how they're trying to spin everything to make it look as though President Trump has failed, when in fact we are winning beyond anything we could have imagined. We're going to talk about that, plus a bunch of other breaking news stories that the fake news is lying about, and YouTube's new policy to censor us all. So stick around and check it out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know the drill. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. If you have, thank you. If you haven't, please click it. Hit that bell, then select all so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. And stick around to the end of this video. We're going to do a segment called God's Grace is Greater. We're going to talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, we're looking in the book of James about trials and maturity. And this is a very valuable lesson, I think, for us all to understand what it means to go through, this hardship now. It's an important message. So I hope you guys stick around for that at the end. Now, as always, we go check the cue board 4620 is where we left off, talking about the infiltration. And today's video is going to be very special because we're going to be talking about YouTube's new Orwellian policies to deal with elections, which are ultimately, obviously targeted at silencing us, we the people. We're going to talk about President Trump's historic peace deal in the Middle East, and we're going to talk about a bunch of other news that you guys need to hear that is incredibly important. But before we do that, quick reminder, this video is brought to you in part by Brave Browser. If you guys haven't tried it out, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's free. You can use the link in the description to let them know I sent you. It's a way to help support this channel, and then you get a great product in return. Brave Browser is like any other internet browser. It works on your desktop, your laptop, or your smartphone. And it's just like Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, or Safari, whatever you're using, but it's better. Blocks the ads, built-in firewall, VPN, a bunch of other great stuff. So go check out the Brave Browser today. Use the link in the description of this video to support this channel and get this product for free. So check it out today. Download the Brave Browser and give it a shot. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Now, obviously, we're going to pick up right where we left off, 4620, and, there's not much to go on here, but we have major stories coming out here. Hillary Clinton not ruling out serving in a Biden administration, saying, I'm ready to help in any way I can. Interesting. A lot of people saying, nothing's happening and so on, and why aren't these people in jail, etc. I always think there's national security implications to all of this. I've talked about this openly on the show. I think it's sometimes you have to understand that, and I had to understand this, I guess, too, more, is that, if we did arrest a lot of these people and just throw them directly into jail or Gitmo or whatever, there's a national security implication. All these deals that were brokered before they left office, and you can say what you'd like about the bad deals they did, which the majority of them were bad deals, but there were also some good deals that they were a part of, and it could just have an entire effect. And as you see President Trump brokering peace in the Middle East today, uniting the United Arab Emirates with Israel in a way that probably nobody thought was possible, and you have other countries jumping on board now to kind of normalize relations, it's just indicative of the I think the higher-minded thought process that you have to take into account when you understand how this all works. And remember, It would be very clear. If the allegations that we've seen put out there against these people, you know, President Trump's come out and literally said Biden, Obama, Comey, Clapper, Brennan committed treason. Well, if they committed treason, I'm sure you know who. This lady was in on it. And what's interesting to realize is that people like Hillary and Bill, for example, or Hussein and his significant other, you know, they are under the, I'm doing air quotes here, protection of the Secret Service. There's not much, you can't really get away from that, right? And that's, it's a speculation on my end. I haven't heard anything necessarily, but I would say that if you were going to be, you know, what's the difference between detaining somebody and you know, providing them security? Again, I'm using air quotes. I don't know. You tell me. But I also think that, you know, that them being able to interject in the election and all this is just ridiculous. And the way that they're doing it is really dangerous, in my opinion, as we see more interference from the big tech companies here. An update to the YouTube's blog talks about how YouTube supports elections from Leslie Miller, their VP of Government Affairs. Wow. You read through this for 2 seconds and you realize what they're doing is they are going to be meddling in the election more openly. They're going to be deleting content more openly. They're going to be restricting your free speech more openly. And they're going to be doing it all under the guise of protecting the election, which is, it's so Orwellian, the way they use doublespeak and the way they, you know, say one thing and do the exact opposite. Or they tell you what they're doing, but they hide it and say, but it's a good thing. It's good that we're censoring what you guys say. It's good that we're shutting down people's voices. It's good that we're limiting people's ability to share information. It's not a good thing. And it really is, you know, ultimately, look, I understand a lot of YouTube's policies about certain things. And yes, I'm glad for the things that they do and to a degree when it comes to like censoring, you know, extreme violence, terrorism, porn, all that stuff. I'm all for that. Right. But what they've done is they've slowly creeped and made this progression into basically becoming the arbiters of what's, you know, culturally acceptable, what's morally acceptable. And how they do it is this kind of sneaking progression of we're gonna tweak our guidelines, just a little tweak here, a little tweak there. But then when you go watch like their parent company, Google, in their internal meetings, they're talking about how much they hate President Trump, basically, how they want to meddle in the elections, how they failed to meddle in the last election in 2016, and how they're going to make up for it in this election. So why would I trust a company whose top executives are almost a monolith as far as groupthink goes in this Democrat orthodoxy of liberal psychosis, I like to call it, but it's called progressivism, when it's really the most regressive thing you ever saw in your life. And then they come out and say things like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to remove election-related content that violates our policies, and that includes removing content that contains hacked information. What? The disclosure of which may interfere with democratic processes, such as elections and censuses. For example, videos that contain hacked information about a political candidate shared with the intent to interfere in the election. What? Now look, I'm completely against hacking and, you know, doxing people, putting their information out there. But once that information is put into the public domain, what right does YouTube have to limit our ability to share and talk about it? Right? That's my question. At what point did they become the police of speech, literally? I mean, it's been a slow creeping progression. They've done everything they can to censor channels, kick people off, you know, limit their views, take them out of the suggested, this long scale process or long-term process of removing the freedom which made YouTube so successful, right? The freedom of speech aspect, the way the algorithms were just meant to, you know, if you watched a video like mine, you'd be recommended a video like mine next. How many of you out there in your suggested video box for your next video is a Just Informed Talk video? But how many of you, on the other hand, have a Fox News video, fake news video, or some other fake news lying outlet, or even, their authoritative content, which these people at YouTube and I hate to go on a rant on this, but it's so important. The people at YouTube tell us the authoritative content for news comes from MSNBC and CNN. So let me ask you something. If YouTube wants to come out and publicly put a statement out about this, I'd love to hear it. If you say that CNN and MSNBC are real news, yet the President of the United States tells us that everything that we've been uncovering here with this whole Q movement and everything about the treason, about the spying, about the deception of the fake news, how they lied and pushed a Russia hoax for years trying to unseat a duly elected president to help in an insurrection coup in our country, in the United States of America, where if we didn't exist, YouTube wouldn't be possible. Tell me more about how, they're authoritative and somebody like me or others aren't. Tell me how you can make such grandiose lies and censor content in such a way so that you are somehow unaccountable for that censorship. I mean, I just don't get any of this, and that you're abetting the fake news and the deceivers, the spreaders of it, and then enriching them, right, by giving them favorite status and promoting their content over ours and putting it in the top news carousels and doing all these underhanded slights and tricks to deceive and manipulate the masses with fake news and lies. And now you're just telling us you're going to start censoring us more. I'm sure if there's hacked content that's on NBC News, you're not going to be pulling their video down. But if it's on any other independent channel that they're talking about something that happened that's in the public domain, that's a part of the public discourse, we're going to get censored. It's insane. These people are crazy. And it's, it's only going to get worse from here, but have faith in Jesus Christ above, because nothing can stop what is coming. We already know that. Now, looking at other stories here, Kamala Harris having questions about her eligibility come up. This is very fascinating. I wanted to talk about this briefly. Apparently, the problem with her, status is that she has two unnationalized or two parents that were not fully naturalized citizens at the time of birth. And I love how this Newsweek article, they have to put an editor's note on here saying some readers reacted strongly to this essay, seeing it as an attempt to ignite a racist conspiracy theory. That is entirely inaccurate, as this note explains. I mean, everything's racist and sexist now. The beauty of having a person like Kamala in there, and they talked about this, and the political commentators have said this from the beginning, is that, and they even were putting out statements and issuing warnings like, you can't criticize Kamala Harris because that's sexist. You can't say anything bad about her because that's racist. You're a racist, sexist if you disagree with Kamala Harris. It's like, whoa. When did people just become completely, unable to be criticized? When did we go to this communist system? The Democrats want this fascistic communism where you can't even talk about other people. You can't even ask questions. You can't say, well, I disagree with you, and here's why. It's like, no, censored. You're sexist, racist. Shut up. That's like what it is these days. That's the level of discourse our nation has fallen into. And it's because of people like this, morons like this, I should say. Dallas soccer star Reggie Cannon calls fans disgusting for booing and chanting USA as him and other players knelt for the national anthem. But I mean, if you think about it, look, it's not his fault. This guy, Reggie Cannon, he's a soccer star. I don't watch soccer. I don't know who does. Maybe some of you like it. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But you listen to these people and they go, okay, it's awful. I think it's disgusting. It's disgusting, fans booing at me while I kneel for the national anthem in this great country where I'm able to be a professional athlete and make, I don't know how much soccer players make, hundreds of thousands of dollars, let's say, kicking a ball into a net. Oh, you're helping society, Reggie. Kick that ball in the net. Kick it in the net even better. Kick it across the field. Oh, look at you. You can bounce a ball with your feet and your knees. Oh, man, you're really, making a difference. Now go kneel for the national anthem and disrespect the country and the soldiers who went and fought and died for this nation and disrespect everything this country stands for. And that's totally okay. We're going to tell you how great you are, Reggie, and how truly strong and profound your work is. No, I mean, I'm unimpressed with these people. I'm so unimpressed with all of these fake athletes who just are virtue signaling. And they're, in all fairness, they don't know any better. They're following Kaepernick, and Kaepernick is a master manipulator. And so is the whole BLM movement. It's just ran by a bunch of master manipulators who understand how to weaponize a movement in a way to encourage socialism and communism and to help try to destroy the law enforcement that's going to end up arresting the people who infiltrated our government and then helped launch a coup and now are pushing an insurrection. So I don't buy any of it. I think it's all utter garbage. And, you know, that's what it is. Now, here's an interesting one. Phony, now, term President Trump uses a lot. A lot of people use it. I use it all the time. Phony this, phony that. Which basically what phony means is like disingenuous, not real, fake. But it says phony is a very gendered term that we use to present women in power in an unfavorable light. There's something fake about them, Jennifer Palmieri says about a Trump campaign attack on Senator Harris. It's a very old trope. So, of course, as predicted, now they're coming out with the whole, oh, man, it's all sexist. President Trump is using old sexist tropes about Kamala Harris. You can't criticize Kamala. She's a woman of color, and you can't say anything bad about her, or else it's racist sexism. I don't get that. Again, it's content of character, not the color of your skin, not what gender you are. It is content of your character. It is the content of your decisions, your actions in your life. You can be criticized for those decisions. If you go out and rob banks, people can chastise you for being a bank robber. If you go out and commit other crimes, then you can be chastised. And inversely, if you go out and do great stuff, then you can be given, credit for that, and you can be praised for it. But look, the fact of the matter is that all this is social media has opened up this Pandora's box of the American, culture, where it's obvious that the large majority of Americans don't believe in this kind of nonsense. This everything's racist, everything's sexist. You can't use the word phony. You can't say something that might not be too nice to them, or else their feelings will get hurt. And then you're basically the equivalent of, a evil person for that. And even so, as a Christian, we try to be kind to others. We try to every day live our lives in a Christ-like way. But at the same time, if I say something, and it's an opinion about your opinion, and I think it's wrong, that's not me going after you. That's just me disagreeing with you and saying, I think you're a phony. You claim to be this, but you really do that. So ipso facto, you're a phony. In Kamala's case, it's mostly, well, you claim to believe Tara Reade, the accuser of Joe Biden and her sexual assault claims, and now you're running to be his vice president with him and not mentioning it or talking about it at all. You're a phony. It's not a gendered term. So a man can be a phony. A woman can be a phony. Anybody can be a phony. Say one thing, do another. Basically, you're a phony. It's not a gendered term. So I just thought that was interesting. Another story here, Representative Louis Gohmert talking to Newsmax TV here saying they wanted me to just die. And he talks about how hydroxychloroquine saved his life. You guys remember, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. And he was in Congress. And lo and behold, he's telling us how hydroxychloroquine helped save his life. But you can't talk about this. You can't even talk about like anecdotal stories about this stuff. Because the thought police, the tech tyrants, the big whatever cartels, all the big corporate cartels, they don't make money off of hydroxychloroquine, and they don't care about, it seems they don't care too much about this country and what we're really going through, because they just want to control you. They want you to wear your face mask, to lock yourself in your house, and shut up until after the election so that they can think of what to do next in case President Trump wins. Or in my opinion, when President Trump wins. Because they're going to have a whole nother 4 years of this stuff. If you think I'm lying, I don't know what to tell you, but I guarantee you that when President Trump wins re-election, which he will, the Democrats and their globalist backers and the corporate, corrupt corporate people and the tech tyrants and the rest will be just going into their next mode. It's just going to continue. Again, it's a creeping progression of their, authoritarianism that they want to put on us. And Representative Louis Gohmert, all thanks be to God, right? That he's okay. It's a good thing. Here's a clip that I want to share of Nancy Pelosi, which I just found to be quite hilarious, where a news reporter in the press pool for her, I don't know, her office there is the House or the Speaker of the House, it asked her about QAnon and the new, obviously she's only won a primary, but the new future representative from Georgia who's a QAnon supporter who just won her primary and looks like she's definitely going to win her seat. She's basically, they ask her about the QAnon supporter, and they ask her what she thinks about that, you know, that person coming into Congress. And her reaction is priceless, because you can tell she's not only caught off guard by the question, but she knows what Q is, and she's fully aware of how effective that we've been in exposing their corruption, exposing their criminality. I mean, are we going to ask Nancy about the slush funds? That, you know, is there something, some sort of account that she held at Deutsche Bank that she doesn't want us to talk about, where millions of dollars were put away? Maybe, possibly. Yeah, watch this clip.
You said yesterday that Republicans seem to be comfortable with a QAnon supporter in their ranks, but I'm curious what you think about Marjorie Taylor Greene being elected to Congress most likely, and what was your reaction when she called you the B word?
You know what, do you know how little attention I pay when the President of the United States calls me horrible things? I don't pay too attention to that. It's a judgment to be made about them as to who they welcome into their ranks. And again, we all have diversity of opinion, and that's the beauty of the mix in Congress. But to have behavior that is beneath the dignity of the Congress, that's a judgment about them. Anyway, upward and onward is, I probably won't see you next week, unless you're going to be in California or wherever.
So you saw Nancy Pelosi. I mean, it's so nakedly transparent how obvious QAnon is, everything, and how, you know, look, they're trying to frame our movement in this light that is completely the opposite of what it is, and that's fine. You know, they're entitled to their free speech, etc. But they're coming after our free speech. That's the trick to it all, is that they don't plan on relinquishing power. They don't plan on having us expose it. They plan on shutting us all down. And that's the problem, is that, you know, we just want equality of law. We just want corrupt politicians to be held accountable. We just want big tech to be forced to allow our free speech unencumbered without their Orwellian nightmare censorship. We want to have, you know, a reformation, let's just say, but it's not really a reformation. It's more of just a return to what our system was meant to be, where there aren't corrupt politicians who are being played by lobbyists, who are being paid by corporations to basically write laws that disfavor individual liberty and the Constitution, and favor corporatism, corruption, and this system which feeds itself in you know, bribes and blackmail and leverage. We just want to get rid of all that. And you ask yourself, oh man, what's wrong with that? Well, if we got rid of all that, I know a few of these people would be very scared. Again, talking about that, it says, well, everybody's talking about this Q phenomenon, and what has Q actually done? And I thought this was a good point. One, it's brought to light human trafficking problem around the world. Two, corruption in American politics. Three, biggest scandal in American history, the Russia hoax. Four, the massive pedophile problem that involves celebrities, politicians, high-powered individuals, past and present. Five, the complicity of the media to this corruption. Six, people of high power working against freedom fighters of the world. Seven, the involvement of government agencies, FBI, CIA, etc., in criminal corruption. For a movement that's so bad and evil, they sure have exposed a lot of stuff that is bad and evil. That's what they're scared of, man. And it's so redundant how they attack us over and over again. The fake news lies. I'm not going to read all these stories that they put up because it's just garbage. And again, so tonight we're having AG Bill Barr on Hannity. We'll see how that goes, right? But I think he's wanting to get out ahead of, I think what they're trying to push now against President Trump, talking about how his statements about the post office kind of constitute election interference or something. some ridiculous notion that Democrats have pulled out of left field to try to say that President Trump's doing this effort to defund the post offices ahead of the election. Well, you know what? How about they try not to steal our democracy using their mail-in voting fraud, and we'll talk about, you know, who's really committing the crimes and who needs to be prosecuted. And maybe you'll see Attorney General Barr address that tonight on Hannity. Maybe not. Not sure. Now, with that, though, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. A few more things before we go. If you guys enjoyed this content, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about everything we talk about here on the channel. Also, you can find me over here at JustInformedYou. For now, while I'm still up and going before they start purging and censoring us all, I'm sure, you know, who knows who's next, but I put my faith in God. And no matter what happens, I will keep doing what I've been doing, and that's telling the truth and spreading his word first and foremost. So that's what my plan is. Also, I'm here on Twitter at informed_news. Plus, you can find the new channel, Just Informed Clips, linked below. I'm trying to get it updated to get all my library up and available for you guys. Of all the clips that I've taken over the last few years in doing this channel, you guys know I always start the show with a clip, and I usually have clips in and out. So, you know, this channel is just going to be a place where I put all that for you guys to take and share and get out there as far and as wide as you can. Also, I'm over here on on Parler at JustInformed Talk and BitChute.com/JustInformed Talks, the backup channel. And of course, JustInformedNews.com is the official website for Just Informed Talk. You can get different links, breaking news, and the latest videos here. So that's a good place to go. Also, if you want to help support this channel, there's Patreon, Patreon.com, crowdfunding website, and it's just here. If it's a monthly donation, you guys, you keep this channel alive. Your support is what keeps it going. So thank you. And I've had some of you reach out, and we have great conversations, and it's just really, really incredible to have your support. And I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below. Now, before we go, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I picked a verse because I had, I don't want to name any names, obviously. I had a family reach out to me, and we were just discussing certain things. I'm not going to get into any specific details, but it just reminded me of how tough it can be sometimes, you know, when, especially for those of you who are coming back into your faith. Maybe you haven't felt it for a while, and you're kind of going through this stage where you're thinking, man, I'm you know, struggling here because I want to get involved with my faith more, and I want to reach out to God, but I don't know how. I don't know what church to go to. I don't know what to do. And my best advice is what works for me, and that's the best I can give, is just that we all have to go out and get involved. Find a church, get involved with your community, go listen to different sermons from different churches and pastors, and find one that works for you, and then make sure that you know, embrace that message and that you feel it in your heart, and that and the one thing that's most important is prayer, right? And the verse we're going to go over in the book of James today, this is chapter 1, verses 2 through 8, talks about trials and maturity, and prayer is how we find our way. God answers prayers. I'm telling you, if you got to believe me, God will answer your prayers. Now, it might not be in the way you want, it might not be in the way you see, but if you pray openly and honestly and open your heart up, and I always encourage everyone to pray with your family. Hold hands, speak out loud to God together, whether you're in your privacy of your own home, or you're out at a restaurant, or you're in public somewhere else. You know, pray. Let other people see you praying. Let other people hear you praying. Be open about your faith. If you do that, God will hear you too. Even though God will hear you no matter what, even if you just think a prayer and you say it to yourself, it's just important because I think it helps us all come closer together, and it's a great way to spread the word. But I want to talk about this trials and maturity because I just thought this was a great verse, and it you know, it helped me feel you know, better as I was considering how to you know, help advise others, right? It says, "Consider it a great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, but endurance must do its complete work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and without criticizing, and it will be given to him. But Let him ask in faith without doubting, for the doubter is like the surging sea, driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. An indecisive man is unstable in all his ways. Now, that message is one that I've always carried with me strongly, and I hope you guys do too. And I hope that you realize that, as it says here, it says to ask God, right? It says, ask God, who gives to all generously and without criticizing, and it will be given to him, right? So if you want wisdom, you want courage, you want humility, you want to become a better person, to know how to live righteously, to know what to do next, to know how to lead your family, know what church to go to, know what anything, pray and pray and pray, because it says right here in the scripture, First James chapter 1, and it says it right here, verse 5, ask God, who gives to all generously and without criticizing, and it will be given to him. There you go. So I hope you guys take that message, share it with your family, your friends, your loved ones, and like I said, pray out loud to God. Go get involved with your church, go get involved with your community. Now is the time to do it. Now's the time to make that move. You go to if you're not sure what church to go to, go check out a few different churches, listen to a few different sermons, pray, ask, and see which one connects with your heart, and where you want to be, what fits you and your family. But now's the time to do it, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my God's Grace is Greater segment for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A few more things. Hit that subscribe button and hit it, punch it, tap it, kick it, whatever. Hit that like button. If you guys like this content and want to see me make more, that's going to be it for me, though. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.